Let's face it, we all want validation from others. It may be a child that wants their dad to acknowledge how well they did in a school quiz, or even an employee who wants that grand compliment on a project superbly done. All the same, one thing is clear. We all need validation at some point. But there's something about validation. It is intoxicating. And when we look for it from the wrong quarters, and with so much obsession, we end up in a rabbit hole that has no end. Michelle started her journey down that hole, and she's gradually realizing that she may never be able to come out again. From talking about her work ordeals to throwing her colleagues under the bus unintentionally.
The first night that I met her was my first day. I walk up to her and I'm like, hey, what would you like? And she's like, I'm thinking. I was like, okay, well, let me know when you're ready. I'll come back to you. I come back to her. She goes, I'll just take a water. I'm like, okay. And the other bartender was like, we call that girl Crazy Water. I was like, what?
Even as far as fabricating lies for content's sake, she has done the unthinkable. And the most troubling part is that she may yet do more unimaginable things. Michelle Lolcow is fondly known on the internet space as Michelle the Bartender. Because, well, that's her job. She's a bartender. She carved a space for herself in the social media world, primarily on TikTok, by sharing videos about her work. What started out as just harmless content creation for entertainment has spiraled into one of the biggest cases of oversharing on TikTok. For Michelle, if it can be talked about, it definitely must be talked about. Privacy be damned. She's also a mom of one, a fact that cannot be missed. It's literally on her bio, and sadly everywhere on her page. She has joined the bandwagon of parents who monetize the existence of her kids.
Getting juice?
No. This one.
That is great.
Get juice.
You want to get juice?
Yes. Get juice now.
Yeah, we can get juice now.
Ryder is just 3 years old, but has unfortunately been exposed to as much camera time as your average celebrity, and that really is unhealthy for a child. The danger in this case is much higher, because with a mom like Michelle, Ryder literally has no secrets to hide, and is unfortunately not spared from her obsession with oversharing. Every tantrum, bath time, snack request, and quiet moment is broadcast to strangers online, stripping him of basic privacy most kids are naturally granted. He's become a character in Michelle's never-ending content loop, whether he wants to be or not.
My son is potty training, so we let him walk around the house without any pants on. And we just took a shower, right? So I washed his behind. He did not go number 2 after we got out of the shower. I know that because he hasn't had any pants on the whole time, and his potty hasn't had any number 2 in it, right?
That is all just too much information. Potty training is a normal thing, we all know that, but the amount of information in this is quite unnecessary. If there is one thing that's common knowledge now, it's the fact that the internet never forgets. As harmless as these videos may seem to her, she's unintentionally giving potential bullies all the material they need to make Ryder's life very uncomfortable as he grows up. Kids are cruel, and the internet is even crueler, especially when you've handed it childhood footage on a silver platter. What feels like a funny mom moment now could easily turn into a viral meme at Ryder's expense later. The thing about Michelle is that she feels she is very important, like she's such a known figure, and a lot of things revolve around her. You can hear it in how she talks.
I've always told y'all where I work. When I started there, I only had maybe 20,000 followers in October of 2020.
Compared to her follower count now, 20,000 is really a small number. But at the same time, it's big enough to be a danger to anyone. It's a problem that she ever felt the need to share her schedule with random strangers on the internet. Sharing such information makes it easy for anyone with terrible intentions to keep tabs on you. It creates a blueprint for stalking. And whether intentional or not, she's giving strangers real-time access to her whereabouts and routine. That kind of access is never harmless. It invites risk, especially when you're a woman online with a growing platform and a child in tow.
I will not be sharing my schedule anymore with y'all. It's not because I don't love you. It's because of the amount of volume of people that have come in, and it's overwhelming for me. I can't do it. But I do love you guys. Y'all have shown all the love. The bartenders that I work with on Saturday nights, they're used to this stuff. We had a newer bartender work for one of the veteran bartenders that I always close with. It was 3 deep at the bar, and he looks at the first person, hey, what can I get for you? And they were like, we're here from TikTok. We know Michelle from TikTok. And he's like, cool, whatever. So they're used to it. He moves down to the next person. What can I get for you? And they're like, we know Michelle from TikTok. So we're going to wait for her to be able to serve us. He went all the way down the bar. That's what everybody said. So he backs up and he's like, hey, does anybody here want a drink from anybody besides her? And I'm sitting there at the well making a bunch of like something fruity drinks, literally 3 deep at the bar. Nobody said anything.
Clearly nothing is bigger than Michelle's ego. And isn't it weird that she somehow noticed that all of this was happening and she did not see the need to suggest a swap with her new colleague before he even got more frustrated? If she was so busy, how did she notice that he had asked so many people and got the same response? It's almost like she enjoyed watching the struggle unfold, using her own schedule as an excuse to avoid helping out. The irony is that she had enough time to clock everyone else's response, but not enough empathy to step in.
Do you know how that made me feel? I was scared. I looked back and I was like, he goes, great, I'll just go home then. I said, what you can do is refill all my juices because everybody's going to want like something fruity, and you can just like get ice. Because all these people that come from TikTok, none of them want like a Miller Lite and a shot of Jameson. I know I did it to myself. I know I did.
Yes, Michelle, we do. It made you feel on top of the world. And maybe next time offer help when a colleague needs it. Being self-aware is great, but being kind and considerate is even better. A little bit of humility goes a long way, especially in a workplace where teamwork actually matters.
So if you're going to revamp something, it makes sense to get rid of all of your staff, because you can't revamp something and come up with a whole different concept with all of your same staff. Here's what doesn't make sense to me. So you want to cater towards college students, right? So 77% of my followers are female. 36% of my followers are between the ages of 18 and 24, college age, right? Anytime we had a fraternity or a sorority event, every single person that came in there knew who I was. I was taking pictures more than I was even bartending. It was like a meet and greet. Why would you fire me?
Again, another ode of praise to the great and mighty Michelle. It's always about how everyone knows her, and she's the center of attraction. In this particular video, she was addressing a situation where she and some other bartenders got fired. But somehow, in the midst of it, she still found a way to make it about herself. Instead of focusing on how the team was affected or their larger implications, the spotlight swung right back to her TikTok fame and how people came to the bar just to see her. To her, every other person could be let go, but not her. How do you make content like that without any regard to how your former colleagues would interpret it? One comment under that video read, "The ego on her. The demographics of my followers equates to who comes to the bar? You're not serious. 95% of the people that go to the bar have no idea who you are. Unreal." And apparently, that exact video is inaccurate. In the comments section, viewers responded, calling her out for lying. Because they didn't fire the whole team, LOL. The rest just posted a video showing they are all back working and she's not. If she was the only one fired, it really would not be difficult to believe. When you spend more time taking pictures than you spend on your actual job, any employer would be concerned. The bar might have hired her knowing she had a social media presence, but that doesn't mean they expected her to treat every shift like a meet and greet event.
A lot of people's advice is to not tell anybody where I work. I would love to agree with you. I get recognized everywhere I go. Like, it happens everywhere I go. I have to go to the same places so that people know me there. So they are just like, oh, that's just Michelle. And if I do go to a new place, especially a restaurant, the hostess is going to recognize me, and then they're going to run to the back and tell everybody, and then they all know who I am. I have no problem with that, by the way.
With how she talks about her fame, you would think that she can rival the status of the likes of Michael Jackson or something. To say that everywhere you go, everybody knows who you are is quite daring, to say the least. Even people with more popularity go to places and some people do not know them. How a bartender in Raleigh, North Carolina has this type of delusion is totally hilarious.
So the moment then somebody comes in and they get a picture with me and they post it, it's going to go viral.
I'm not saying that Michelle has any mental health conditions, but her behavior like this looks like when someone has delusions of grandeur and just believes that they're more important than every other person. Having millions of followers on TikTok does not in any way translate to worldwide fame. It's a big platform, yes, but that doesn't mean you're instantly a household name or that everyone must cater to your ego. There is a big difference between online popularity and real-world significance, and it's clear she hasn't quite figured that out yet.
I wouldn't be able to keep where I work private. I come with a lot of love. I do, and I love you guys. But I also come with a lot of haters. They're going to write bad reviews. A lot of bar owners are not going to be able to handle the volume of attention that me working there would bring. It's really hard for me to just be able to bartend because almost everybody recognizes me, or they're there to see me and they want to talk to me. And that is fine. They wouldn't be there spending money if they didn't know I was working there. And they tip so well. You guys have all that have come and seen me at any of the bars that I've worked at, y'all have all tipped me so well, and I appreciate all of you. But it is hard for me to just bartend, because somebody out of somewhere in their group, or the people behind them, or the people that just ordered, are going to recognize me.
Just more and more about how popular she is. And sadly, she has this same attitude even in her family life. Michelle is separated from Ryder's dad, but they have a working co-parenting system in place that allows him to spend time with both parents, but on a schedule.
I co-parent with my ex. We have a 3-year-old together. Every single morning when he wakes up at my house, he's like, hey, go see my daddy today? And I'm like, no.
Every single morning sounds like a bit of an exaggeration, and it seems even more likely given the kind of person Michelle is.
And I always tell him the next day that he'll be able to see him. So like, for example, I'd be like, you get to see your daddy on Friday. And he'd be like, why? I'd be like, because that's when mommy and daddy are going to be switching you out. Like, that's when you get to go see your daddy. I always wondered if it was because he didn't like it at my house. Then I talked to his daddy on the phone. He told me that he asks the same exact thing to him every morning. I go see my mommy today. The way that my mommy heart melted.
If we're being real, there's no way her son's reason for asking about his dad is because he doesn't like it at her place. It's only normal for a boy to want to have some fun with his dad, and that's fine. There really is nothing so deep about it. But Michelle tells the story that way just so it ends up with her being the center of attraction yet again. It's like every situation. No matter how mundane or personal, it has to be spun in a way that makes her either the victim or the hero of the story. Never just a mom with a kid who misses his dad.
I really was wondering if he even missed me at all, because when I call his dad to talk to him, if his dad is keeping him for a longer period of time than I'm used to, I'll be like, hey, you want to talk to mommy? And he'll be like, no. And he does the same whenever the opposite thing is happening. So I try not to take it personally. So I'm like, but does he even miss me? Like, and to know that he asks to come see me every day, I just love and miss him so much.
Interesting. He does the exact thing when he's with her, and his dad asks to speak to him, and she's aware of this, but somehow still thinks that when he does that to her, it's based on a dislike he has towards the idea of staying with her. The desire to be the most needed one is very unnecessary. Children need balance in their lives. Speaking about love life in her family, Michelle has made that topic a little bit too open to the world. At this point, her entire follower base can tell the stories of her various failed relationships, and everyone is in a position to give her advice about what and what not to do. It's no longer a case of sharing with a supportive audience. It's turned into a public forum where strangers dissect the most intimate parts of her life. By making her personal experiences so accessible, she's essentially invited millions of people to become co-authors in her romantic narrative, for better or worse.
Did you know that people have gone and looked up my ex-husband, done background checks on him, found the child abuse charges where I called the cops on him because he left our son at home alone back when he was only 8 months old. Okay, this after I had already kicked him out of our house, but nobody knew that because I didn't tell anybody that because I was trying to keep that private.
It is nearly impossible to keep an already public life private. She really should not be blaming people for doing something that her lack of restraint gave birth to. If she felt the need to keep it private, then why come out and talk about it again just for clout's sake? Yes, people dug stuff up, as they're allowed to do, but you're also allowed to let things slide. Not Michelle, though. She made a video of it herself.
I screenshotted this off of my Snark page today, but it was posted last December. Do you see this? That's my ex-husband. Do you see this? I'm ready to talk about it.
She's ready to talk about it. So it was never a case of keeping information away from the public. It was more of her timing it just right.
Somebody had done a background check on my ex-husband right after I kicked him out of my house. And so this started coming out and getting posted everywhere. And I was trying to put these fires out because I wasn't ready. My life was falling apart when this came and got posted up on the internet. Back in September of 2022, I had picked up a shift at Tubuck this specific day. I get home from work, and when I get home, there's no car in the driveway. So I'm like, oh, I guess my husband's not home. I walk in the house. My son is laying on the living room floor on his face crying, and my husband's not there. I called him over and over, 16 times exactly. He didn't pick up, so I called my mom.
For context, her son was just 8 months old at the time. So it was a big deal that her husband left him there all alone and was unreachable at the time.
And I'm like, Mom, what do I do? This is what happened. She's like, Michelle, you have to call the police. And I'm like, I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. Let me just see. So by the time I got home, until the time he got home, it had been 45 minutes. So when he got home, I was like, he was hammered. I was like, where were you? He was like, I went to the gas station. I was like, for 45 minutes, I could see the gas station from my porch at the time.
While nobody is justifying the actions of her ex-husband, this was all just too much information to share. As much as people are encouraged to speak up when they have marital issues, nobody in their right mind would advise that your speaking up should be directed towards the whole world. That's why you have close friends and family. They're your safe space, the people who can offer support without the glare of millions of strangers watching. But Michelle has blurred the line between personal healing and public content, turning what should be private struggles into internet talking points, all for engagement. When you give people this much information, you should very well expect tons of comments about your personal life, both good and bad. Keeping such information private should be common sense, but Michelle lives for the validation. She got comments like, I'm sorry you had to go through that. Seeing your baby upset, face down crying must have been terrifying. Stay safe. I am so sorry. Nobody should have to feel that panic walking into their home, and no baby should ever be left. This is not the first time she's talking about very personal stuff concerning her family.
My house almost got robbed on Tuesday night. Yeah, I thought about not telling you guys this story because it's an embarrassing story for me and for my husband. But if it helps somebody, I'm going to tell.
Again, she does this thing where she talks about something she said she did not want to talk about. Just this time, she masks it in, trying to be of help to someone out there. Here's the thing. No part of this story is told in a way that could be of help to anyone. It's just her telling a story that the internet didn't really need.
Can't drink because he can't stop. Like once he has one beer, he has to drink every beer there is until they're all gone or the bar kicks him out. He gets home at 3:20 in the morning. 3:20 in the morning. The dogs start barking, and the dogs don't bark at him. So I knew somebody was with him. So I get up out of bed, and I'm immediately pissed off when I see the time. Okay, I walk out there, I'm a raging. Okay, because why the My husband is like in the refrigerator trying to scrounge up something. I don't know what he's doing. I see this guy, he's walking around our whole house, scoping.
She opens by reminding her followers that she married a man without self-control when it comes to alcohol, then goes on to talk about how mad she is that he returned home very late. Actions have consequences, Michelle. You don't marry an alcoholic and expect a bed of roses. Also, constantly outing your partner like this for some engagement is seriously bottom-of-the-barrel kind of behavior. Her ex-husband clearly needed help, but not from her millions of followers on social media. Seeing as she already started a series on her ex-husband, she did not fail to give an update when they agreed to go their separate ways. There's something off about her reason for leaving the marriage, though.
Before that night, yeah, he was drunk, did some dumb things, And my family was there to see it. And that was embarrassing.
So he endangered hers and her son's lives by returning to the house so early in the morning with a stranger that wanted to rob them. But what made her decide to leave him was that he did something embarrassing in front of her family. Michelle clearly has her priorities, but they're not right in any way. She cares too much about the opinion of other people, and she makes decisions based on them. It's as if public humiliation holds more weight for her than personal safety. That kind of thinking isn't just unhealthy, it's dangerous. When your threshold for tolerating harmful behavior hinges on how others perceive you rather than the real consequences of that behavior, you're not protecting yourself or the people who depend on you. Michelle opens up a deeply personal chapter of her life, addressing a question that, quite frankly, no one was really asking. Why her boyfriend of over a year hasn't moved in with her.
Why I don't have my boyfriend move in with me.
She frames this update almost as if it's a necessary public service announcement, like the public hasn't been waiting with bated breath for the details. According to her, the reason isn't because their relationship is unstable or because there are any red flags. In fact, she emphasizes that things are going really well between them. The issue, she explains, comes down to logistics.
He does do a lot around my house, but this man has so much stuff. I don't have the room to store all of his things here at my house, so he would have to get a massive storage unit.
Her boyfriend, she says, has too many possessions to store at her place, and bringing them all over would require a massive storage unit. While that is the primary reason, Michelle lets up some more, very unnecessary information about this very unnecessary story she decided to feed the internet with.
Also, this house is in my name. I don't want to add his name to this house. I pay the mortgage here, and I wouldn't want him to be paying the mortgage on a house that he doesn't own. He does stay here, like, most of the time. But yeah, I don't plan on ever fully living with him until we own a place together. So really, right now, his house is there to store his stuff and for his cat. He pretty much lives here.
All of this adds up in her mind to a perfectly reasonable decision to maintain separate residences for the time being. The way Michelle presents the information, she wants viewers to understand that this isn't a reflection of relationship instability, but rather a mature decision. But the bigger question remains, why did she feel the need to explain this to thousands of strangers online? Michelle doesn't just stop at explaining the living situation. She takes the viewer on a full guided tour of her boyfriend's contributions to her daily life. It almost feels like she's reading off a resume. He even knows their exact morning routine. All that's missing is him running a PowerPoint presentation about it. The list goes on and on to the point where it feels less like an update and more like an aggressive PR campaign. Michelle seems intent on proving to the world that this man is a domestic dream, an all-star partner, and someone who's worthy of the social media spotlight. Michelle has had a pattern of controversial relationships and relationship-related decisions.
I met my husband May 11th last year. We got married on June 9th last year. I know, 28 days later. Sounds like a scary movie or something.
With this man being her fourth serious partner in recent years, there's clearly a need to validate her choices to an audience that has grown skeptical. She's not just trying to show that she's found someone new, she's trying to prove she's found someone better.
I'm obviously not good at marriage. I don't want to be married again. You know those super romantic men that you only read about in books written by women? This guy is that. I didn't know men like this existed.
But it's starting to seem like Mr. Flowers may change her mind.
And he's gotten me a lot of flowers. And on Tuesday, he came over and cooked dinner for me and brought these flowers. I can see how a lot of the comments say that he's love bombing me. I mean, this is one of the bouquets of flowers. There's another one. And another. More. And these. I just love flowers from him.
It's less about the relationship itself and more about winning the court of public opinion. Every flower he buys, every chore he does, every gesture she documents, it all feels like part of a campaign to convince viewers that this time she got it right. But that constant need for external validation only raises more red flags. When your love life becomes performance art for the internet, it's hard to tell whether the relationship is real or just curated content. Apparently, though, someone took the liberty to make Michelle's mystery man public by revealing his identity. This infuriated Michelle, and she made this very clear.
A lot of people were like, you just need to get over it. Just move on. No. I have worked so hard for the past year and 2 months to keep my relationship and social media separate. When somebody thinks that they can get up on here and just call me a thief and a liar and accuse me of all this crazy stuff and then also out my relationship that I have worked, I was not ready for that. Now that person got the clout off of me for outing something that I wasn't ready to talk about. I didn't want anybody to know who he was, and he didn't either.
Michelle's argument that she wanted to keep her relationship private stands in stark contrast to the way she discusses nearly every other part of her life, from her divorce to her custody arrangement to the specifics of her boyfriend doing her laundry and folding her son's clothes. Michelle's feed is a revolving door of intimate revelations, so her claim here requires more than a little dramatization of anger and disbelief. Still, Michelle insists that both she and her boyfriend agreed to stay out of the spotlight. She says she wasn't ready for the people to know who he was, and that he felt the same way. Once the internet knows your partner, they become public property, fair game for judgment, rumors, and harassment. Michelle argues that she wanted to protect her relationship from that fate, but her point gets lost in the noise of her usual behavior. It's difficult to understand why, in a sea of personal disclosures, this particular one was supposed to remain private. Michelle's addiction to oversharing takes a bad turn when she decides to talk about a customer at her workplace.
Normally, I don't call people out in this way because I don't want them to come back up and know that I was talking about them. But in this case, I really don't care because this woman that I'm about to tell you does not ever order anything from us, and she's never tipped us. And I'm not lying. Every single night that I have worked, she has come in. The first night that I met her was my first day. I walk up to her and I'm like, hey, what would you like? And she's like, I'm thinking. I was like, okay, well, let me know when you're ready. I'll come back to you. I come back to her. She goes, I'll just take a water. I'm like, okay. And the other bartender was like, we call that girl crazy water bitch. I was like, what? She goes, she never orders anything but water, and she never tips us. She comes here to prey on men. I said, well, has she ever gone home with any of them? She said, sometimes. And we never see that guy again. What? One of the other bartenders was like, yeah, I'm pretty sure she takes dudes home and hides them in her basement or something.
The crazy thing about this is that she is casually making unfounded speculations about this lady who always asks for water to the internet and not to the police. If she actually believed these comments from her coworkers were true, she should have spoken with someone who could do something about it. Telling random strangers on the internet only reduced the severity of the situation to content for entertainment.
What? One time she left her phone up on the bar, and I get it, and I look at the picture. You know how normally it's a picture of your dog or your kid or your nephew or you and your family or you and your husband or something. This picture was of her standing in a dressing room with this face, like this. I was like, oh my God, it's crazy water bitch, you guys. I don't think she's on the spectrum or anything like that. It's just a strange thing, but yeah.
So many things are just off here. Firstly, why invade the lady's privacy? Her phone is her personal property, and she can decide what picture to use as her wallpaper. Making fun of her because you don't agree with her choice of pictures is wild. Then striking a pose at the end of sharing information like that just removes any form of authenticity from the story. That particular video got some heavy backlash, with people calling her out for a comment on the lady being on the spectrum, her obsession with getting tips over serving, and why she was trying to shame the lady for drinking just water. Michelle, sweetie, come on, the spectrum comment was inappropriate. You're embarrassing yourself. As a bartender, I would never expect someone to tip me for water. Sometimes, girl, you just need to keep your thoughts to yourself. In response to Michelle's video, another TikTok user posted a video, which has now been taken down from the platform, calling her out for being insensitive and unprofessional.
Well, I'm absolutely furious, okay? So everyone knows my favorite bar is Uncle Jesse's. It's in Raleigh and 5 Points. We love it. Everyone there. Hold on. Almost everyone there is awesome. I've been going literally every single weekend, every single night since they opened back in April. Okay? I literally go every single weekend, every single night. A bartender named Michelle, she came from Charlotte. She can go right on back because all she has done, oh, I forgot. I helped do some social media stuff for Uncle Jesse's. With that being said, the things that she posts and says reflect so negatively. She's never bought a drink there. That's crap, because if you're seeing this, you. I literally just went down there and told her to delete the video. This is bullying and harassment. And the only things I have said are absolute facts. How are you gonna work for a job and talk bad about the customers? Like, how are you gonna do that? How trashy, how embarrassing are you? You're making us look so bad.
Here's your paragraph, slightly expanded in the same tone and flow. She was right. What Michelle did is technically bullying, and no sane employee should talk about their customers the way she did, especially if it's easy for people around to pinpoint the exact person being spoken of. Even if she didn't mention names, the details were enough for anyone familiar with this situation to connect the dots. It's just not professional, and it reflects poorly on her judgment. Other people that knew Michelle and her workplace made comments on the topic, and most of them didn't exactly paint her in the best light. When people who actually work with you feel the need to speak up about how you behave, maybe it's time to reflect, someone said. I live in Raleigh, and I can tell you right now, I've heard only bad things about Michelle working there. Uncle Jesse's is a new bar that was getting popular, and Michelle is turning people off. Someone responded and said, I'm also in Raleigh and have heard the same. We were at brunch the other day and some girls behind us were laughing about Michelle and saying it sucks she works there because they don't want to be used as their next story time. Another person said 100%. I grew up in Raleigh and a lot of my friends still live there. They went to Uncle Jesse's like every night all summer but stopped because of Michelle. Michelle's video clearly did not resonate with anyone the way she had expected. It was not business as usual, and it's very clear why. But her oversharing addiction does not end with those events alone. Michelle has publicly affirmed that she's a Christian a number of times, and that's her decision, of course. But while her own chosen faith is her business and no one else's, she's known to have some very weird takes which she bases on her faith. One of her very loud beliefs is that spirits can be transmitted through the TV.
Do I believe spirits can come through your TV? Absolutely, I do.
While this may seem harmless, remember that Michelle has 5 million followers on TikTok alone, and mixed into those numbers are some very impressionable set of people who will take Michelle's words hook, line, and sinker. If she had kept her TV transmitting spirit doctrine to herself, it would have been a different case, but she didn't. She advised her followers to skip the halftime shows of the Super Bowl 2025.
I'm not going to be watching the Super Bowl. I'm just going to watch the commercials. Literally, that's all I'm going to watch because my For You page is full of people warning us not to watch the halftime show at the very least, that there's like some black magic going on.
This time, though, it's a mix of her faith and teachings from her For You page. No personal convictions, obviously. Just Michelle doing Michelle things, relying on public sentiment before making important decisions, and then feeding terrible narratives to her followers. There's no filter, no internal processing. Just repost, react, and rant. And because she wraps it up in religion, she expects to be shielded from criticism. But when your beliefs shift based on what's trending on your feed, is it really faith or just influence from the algorithm?
If you don't believe in that, that's fine. I'm a Christian. There was also a lot of people with like prophecies that have had dreams that God told them to share, that there's going to be some like dark message like that's going to come into us or into your house through your TV if you watch the halftime show. So I'm just trying to pass the message along. But I do want to know what Elon Musk paid $40 million to tell us.
There she goes again, spreading false information about Elon Musk's spendings on the Super Bowl. Just casually throwing figures around without citing any sources can be dangerous if someone decides to sue. Elon Musk definitely is known for his big bucks, but where did Michelle get this information from? The spiritual guides on her FYP? The worst part isn't even that the claim is wrong, it's the confidence she says it with. Like she's delivering breaking news from CNN, when really she's just echoing something she half heard on a conspiracy video stitched by 3 creators deep in delusion. What's even more disappointing is that after telling the entirety of her followers not to watch the halftime show, she watched every single part of the Super Bowl.
Where were the commercials? I just watched that whole game. Unless I missed it during halftime or something. I videotaped every time they went in commercial. I know y'all feel played because I feel played. They were trying to get us to watch the Super Bowl to be able to save the numbers because otherwise nobody would have watched it.
She clearly was trying to blame this on something or someone else, not wanting to take responsibility for her actions. But people were not having it. In another video, she responded to a user who wrote, "We don't hate you. You were spreading fear for no reason and never took accountability."
I am all about people taking accountability for what they've done. And that's why I haven't taken my video down. I can't do that because then I would portray the message that I don't stand by what I say. And I do. It's one thing to let a couple of videos that you see lead you to not want to do something. And it's another thing to voice that out to potentially millions of people. And I also want to take accountability for the fact that I did not come with receipts when I said that Elon Musk had spent $40 million of his own money for 5 Super Bowl ads. That was my bad. I'd seen it so many places and heard it by so many people that I just thought it was true. I should always have receipts, or at least do my own research if I'm not going to show the receipts behind me on a green screen. I was wrong about that, and I feel really played myself. And I'm sorry that I said that to you guys. I have learned a lot. And this had nothing to do with Kendrick, by the way. I love his music. I did that one trend, like bing, bop, boom, bop, bam. I quote that song all the time. I freaking love that song. They have been saying this, apparently, about the Super Bowl halftimes for a very long time.
Here, she sounds remorseful with regards to the things she said about the Super Bowl, talking about how she shared information without confirming her sources. This is one of the dangers of oversharing, that need to be heard even when nobody's forcing you to speak. If she didn't feel compelled to always talk, common sense would have made her fact-check the things she said. Thankfully, though, she did take full accountability for her actions. Or did she?
I'm going to say this one last thing before I go to bed, because my halftime show video is like popping off for no reason. Everybody's just hating on me in there. Whatever. I don't care. Unfollow me because I'm a Christian. I don't care. Maybe that was just a message from God to me. Maybe I wasn't supposed to share it. I don't know. I felt like I should, though, to my fellow Christian people, because whenever there's a message, you aren't going to notice it. It'll be subliminal. Even if there wasn't some subliminal, like, dark message that was sent out during the halftime show, I wasn't taking the chance, okay? I'm not trying to invite any type of demon into my house or into me. So everybody that's over there hating on me, saying that I'm, like, on something, or asking me if I'm an alcoholic because I'm off my rocker, go ahead and talk you're allowed to. It's freedom of speech. I may block you for it. I respect whatever it is that you believe in, and you don't have to believe the same thing as me. That is our free will as humans. I'm not over here trying to shove anything down anybody's throat. And apparently we didn't miss anything, because I've heard from other people that the halftime show wasn't very good. So, whatever.
This does not look like a stance someone who is trying to be accountable should make. After misinforming people, her only response should have been that video where she took responsibility and admitted that she should have done better. Saying that the message was probably for her and that she shouldn't have shared it does nothing for her image than make her look worse. Sometimes it's best to just shut up. Michelle is a walking epitome of misinformation and lies, and honestly, she could really use a break away from social media. In yet another video, she talks about the Department of Government Efficiency, DOGE, and people's perceptions of the body. All this she does while throwing in some needless exaggeration.
I've been seeing a bunch of these videos on my For You page, and I'm so genuinely confused. Can somebody please explain to me why Americans here, tax-paying Americans, are mad that they're cutting, like, spending on foreign countries, like the Doge thing? We have people in North Carolina, in the mountains, that I personally have donated more money to help them than our U.S. government has. Doesn't that make you guys mad? If it doesn't make you mad, why are you American? Like, our tax, have you guys seen the list? Hold on, let me show you. This is how much of our taxpayer money politicians have given to foreign countries in the last 4 years. And we have people in America that can't afford to buy groceries, that are struggling to pay their rent. Like, I just feel like maybe there's something that I'm missing. I'm finally happy that our government is doing something that is to help us here. Why have we been footing the bill for the whole world? I'm really just confused about why people are, like, threatening violence and stuff. Like, what?
What do you, an individual, mean by saying you've donated more money to some people than even the entire U.S. government? It's understandable that as a citizen of a country, you would expect all of the government's efforts to be directed inwards, but every country has external relationships that cannot be ignored. And for a country as great as the US, there is no escaping the financial implications that come with the position. Michelle believes that people are struggling to feed and pay rent simply because the government has financial obligations outside its own borders. I'm not a policy expert myself, but I think things are more complex than that. Social media fame, or any form of fame at all, has the ability to make anyone deluded. It takes a great deal of deliberateness to escape the trap of thinking the world revolves around you. For someone like Michelle, who has obviously fallen down the rabbit hole of self-deceit, coming out of it may not be as easy, but it definitely isn't impossible.